Our Pacifica people love the sport of rugby. And just like your favorite rugby player, together we can tackle COVID-19 with treatments.
Test it.
Test it.
And just like the game of rugby, you gotta react fast. Treatments are only effective if taken 5 to 7 days of developing symptoms.
Treat it.
Treat it.
Let's go, Manu!
Regardless of if you have insurance or your citizenship status.
You can beat it.
You can beat it.
For more information on COVID-19 care and treatment, visit youcanbeatit.org or call statewide COVID hotline at 833-422-4255.
This is Gerald Ramsey, your Mufasa, on the North America tour of The Lion King on Island City, where the beach meets the streets.
Welcome to the Coach V Show, your Hollywood radio show for personal development with expert insights and interviews to help you, me, and we work to be our best and live our best life. Offering for your consideration through some of my insights, but definitely through our featured guests, are these success frameworks, behavioral models, and life lessons that if you should find value in them, that you subscribe and deploy all over your life, leadership, and business. Here on the Coach V Show on Island City, where the beach meets the streets. Broadcast from Dash Radio's Hollywood, California, right here on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. And today we are juiced to have the lead man for The Lion King, who plays Mufasa, Brother Gerald Ramsey, who says that he is so grateful to continue the journey across the continent with the Lion King. Born in Tacoma, Washington, raised in Aunu'u, American Samoa, and Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. We got to talk about that. Proud graduate of the University of Hawaii at Hilo. Credits to what he has done in the past. My name is Gary Cooper at Kumu Kahua Theatre. Ha, the breath of life. Rainbows of Paradise at the Ali'i Luau at the Polynesian Cultural Center. Shout out PCC. Tupulaga, Samoa, Mo'a Taeao at Merrie Monarch Festival. And ever thankful he is for the support that he's gotten from friends and people from across the world. And he is honored to represent the pride, and I am grateful. And so is the Island City Media Group team that he is here in studio before rehearsals to fit in here at the Coach V Show. What's up, my man? Welcome to the show, brother. How are you?
I'm amazing, incredible. I feel great.
Yeah, that's awesome. And so tell us, in terms of your bio, Samoa, Tacoma, Saudi Arabia, right? Tell us, where's your genesis point? Introduce us to your family and your walk to get here today.
Oh man, well my dad, he's from the U.S. He's from Washington State and Montana, and he's like Dutch, British, but American. Mm-hmm. My mom is from Aunu'u, American Samoa. Yeah? So I was born in Tacoma, me and my younger sister, and then we moved to Samoa when I was like 6 years old, straight to Aunu'u, and then kind of stayed there for a little bit. And then my dad got a job in Saudi Arabia, and they offered to bring families over and pretty much pay for everything. So we moved to Saudi Arabia. You know, and then when it came time to go to college, I wanted to go anywhere, but my mom said, you got to go where your sister's at, so I ended up in Hilo. And that's pretty much like the adult life. Yeah, man.
So talk about some life lessons. I mean, that's a pretty like versatile perspective from Samoa, right? Tacoma, Washington roots, and then all that, and then to end up in Saudi Arabia. Talk about some life lessons you learned as a kid to have some worldwide perspective really early in life.
I mean, I used to think like, oh, that's so weird, yeah, to have moved so much.
Yeah.
Well, come on, man, like, I am Moana, like that's the island, that's Polynesian.
That's our way.
That's Voyagers, like we move, you know? And I know that I've had family of my own, whether it was through football or the military, where they end up moving and doing things in other countries and other places in the world. And that's just what I ended up doing as well. Like, sometimes I feel being afakasi, like half Samoan, that I'm not enough.
Yeah.
Come on, man. The way that we live our life, that's you can't get any more Polynesian than that by voyaging.
Yeah, I love that. So then talk about, because I know the legend. I've heard the legend of you. Of people that I know that know you, they go, man, his dream was just like to be on the PCC floor and be one of the main performers for that show, right? So talk about how you got into this space and then how you got from achieving not just the dream of being featured as one of the main performers at PCC, but getting here and the steps along the way, please.
Oh, man. You know, like with The Lion King, a lot of interviews, they ask, like, how does it feel living the dream? Sorry, it was never a dream, you know? Because, like, I grew up in Samoa, like, kind of the chunkier of all the cousins, you know, and kind of crybaby and super shy, and I stuttered a lot growing up.
Right.
The idea of performing in front of people was just never a dream, you know what I mean?
Right.
And plus, we were raised in Lokpakpaki, like Assemblies of God Church, so we weren't dancing like traditional Samoan dances. Everything was for church and then home and school. So when I got a chance to finally dance like traditional Samoan dances in college with Tupulaga Samoa Taeao at Hilo, and then to go dance at PCC, it was, man, it wasn't even a dream, man. It was like this crazy fantasy that I would be able to dance like that one day, and I finally got a chance to do it, and it just filled up a part of my soul that I didn't know was empty, you know, culturally speaking, you know. And even in our village in Samoa, a lot of people do dance, but our family didn't dance. When my aunties got a chance to come and watch me perform at PCC,
they were like, wow.
I was a little worried, like, are they gonna be upset because it doesn't go along with the church we were raised in? But man, to see them light up and come and then ask me, like, at every event from then on, we were talking about dancing and dances, and it was just an incredible fulfillment of something I didn't know. Needed to get done.
And how did it feel like to go from a person who wasn't known for that now the family had a huge admiration that you were not just, because now you're like representing us, like you're a part of us, right? Because being Tongan is the same thing. It's like, okay, you could be Tongan, but if you don't speak Tongan, you're not Tongan enough, right? And then you could be Tongan, but if you don't dance Tongan and you don't know how to laka and do all that stuff, you know, you ain't Tongan enough, right? And then after that, but you are Tongan, but you're in America, so you're not Tongan enough. But now there was like this validation and validity, that stamp. Man, not only are you part of us, but man, you representing the culture to the world. Because I've been to the PCC floor show, and my kids, I'm like, man, this is the most amazing floor show. Because not only in PCC, right, and you know this, but for the audience out there, it's like, this ain't like 4 or 5 people dancing. There's 4 or 5 people every 6 feet in the aisles. And then it's hundreds of dancers and performers at one time, right? So talk about the validation, and then the family now. They've already loved you, but now they see you different. Come on. Is that real talk? They see you different, and they're just the admiration. Talk about that.
I was just talking to Tilo earlier about that, how sometimes when you grow up a certain way, your family can put you in a box, and they only see you one way. And when you leave and you begin to travel and discover who you are, you change. But sometimes they're not able to change their mindset about you. That could be a difficult part of that journey.
Real talk.
So the best way that I could have changed their minds about me was to show them. And that was through dance, man. Like, I think the greatest thing I loved about PCC was learning from the elders. You know, it wasn't necessarily luau shows for tourists, you know, although that is who was coming and they helped pay the bills. But we were learning traditional dances in a traditional manner by learning through the elders in the villages. And that's how I feel secure in who I am today. I wasn't learning in Waikiki for the sake of selling tickets or to appeal to what the tourists wanted. It really was passing down generational knowledge. So I feel much more, all of the insecurities I had growing up being Afkasi in Samoa have slowly, not completely disappeared, but they're melting away the more that I'm learning from the elders before me.
Yeah, absolutely. So talk about your track in the path where you thought yourself as one thing, then you started performing, and then that aha moment or that ultra awareness within you going, this is aligned and congruent with the path I want to live my life. And this is not. And I thought it was this, but it's actually this. Did you have any moment like that?
It's scary, man. You know, because we grow up, I think, and our families and our culture has already established a path that they expect us to follow. It's a well-trodden path. You know, there's, you know what to expect down that path. But for instance, like me growing up, I've always had this magnetic pull towards music.
Yeah,
I love music, but in my family, there's no professional musicians. Like, what are you gonna do with that?
Yeah,
I remember like playing French horn in an orchestra, and my dad being like, "What are you gonna do with a music degree?" Going to college and still trying to do music. Like, what are you gonna do? And eventually, I was convinced. Okay, I got to do something more logical with my life.
More logical. Say that again. I have to do
something more logical.
That's right.
And not what I didn't realize, it wasn't for my own security. I think it was more for the peace of mind for my parents. You know, and we have this respect for our parents.
Yeah, that's right.
We want to please them, you know. So I never wanted to stress them out too much. But it seemed like no matter where I was, I somehow, even without me trying purposefully, I ended up back in something in the arts. You know, I ended up playing music, or I ended up dancing in Hilo, or I ended up dancing at PCC, and now here with The Lion King. Like, life is funny that way, man. How you end up in places that you didn't know you needed to be.
Yeah. So I talk to my clients, and it's almost this magic or some kind of, I call it faith and grace, God's unmerited and undeserved favor. But I say it to them like this. Yes, you're going to learn, and within the courses that I teach you and as I coach you, you're going to become more effective and efficient in terms of the achievement of your success. But because you become what you want, you now start attracting what you used to chase to be attracted and chase you. Come on, Soleil. Come on. Did that happen to you? Like you're saying, it's like, I wasn't even trying, and it was still kind of. And then after that, once you got one opportunity, you didn't have to chase opportunity like you did the first one. Then more opportunities started to become attracted to you. Was that true or not in your sense?
This is where I'm at, man, right now. You know, as of all the cousins and brothers and sisters, I'm in the middle. So you grow up to be very obedient, and you just say yes. Whatever your parents or aunties or uncles or grandma or grandpa tells you to do, yes.
Real talk.
But whatever vision they have for you, you do your best to fulfill it. I'm just now stepping into like an industry that there aren't a lot of Samoans, you know, not a lot of Polynesians.
Yeah.
So as people are asking me, what do you want to do? I used to say, like, I'm just going to go back to, when they fire me or don't renew my contract, I'm going to go back to Hawaii, finish my degrry, and teach, you know?
Real talk.
But now my contract has been renewed again, and I'm, right? So they're asking me, people are asking me, like, do you have an agent? Like, what do you want to do next? And I've never had a vision for myself in the industry, because I didn't believe in myself in that way, you know?
Yeah.
And that's just the problem, you know, without vision, people perish, you know?
Amen.
And it's hitting me hard now in LA that, like, oh, I need to have a vision for myself so there's a path. Because everything I've done up until this point has been, what does someone expect of me? Let me fulfill that for you. You know, what do you need from me? Let me do, which is great for, as an athlete, it's great as an actor, for your director, but for you as a person, as a human being, we need to have a vision for ourselves. Right. So I'm just now starting to try to build a vision that I see for myself. But it doesn't mean being selfish, you know, especially in a day of, like, we're realizing the importance of mental health and therapy. And a lot of times people, even at work, they tell me, like, you need to focus on you. When I tried that for a little bit, man, it didn't sit good with me, because there has to be a balance. I still need to take care of my family.
Yes, sir.
And I still need to serve my culture and who I represent. It cannot only be all about me. I wasn't happy.
Yeah.
So finding a balance with all of that and creating a vision that fulfills all of that, it's a challenge right now, man.
Yes, sir. Yes,
You
sir.
know?
I love what you're saying, because that's what I believe in and teach, coach in corporate companies. That before anything big can happen in your life, before you could feel fulfilled and progress in your life, you actually have to grant yourself permission and authority to do, become, and achieve what you want in life, leadership, and business. You have to take control of your life and also claim the rights that every person, and according to the U.S. documents, you have been endowed by your creator by certain unalienable rights, that amongst these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, right? Yeah. Like, why not us? Yeah. Right? So in that, talk about, like, your message to the world. Because now you're at a pinnacle, but also at the crossroads. Because the next opportunities in Hollywood are always just around the corner, but you have to try and go for it. I learned this one thing about, and the first time I did 10 years ago, that for The Matrix, they wanted Will Smith.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, right? Instead of Keanu Reeves.
Okay.
Keanu Reeves. But Will Smith was shooting Wild Wild West.
Okay.
That didn't really do much,
Yeah.
right? But it went into the block, you know, it went into the movie theater and all that. But then it's just like, then Neo came in, this guy who was Neo, and they had like 3, 4, now 5, 6 shows for that, right? It's like, okay, you gotta try, you have to be, opportunities are gonna come. And even though you're not the one they may want, because you're there and available and working on you and your craft, you will have an opportunity.
Yeah.
Anywhere near what you're thinking and what you experience?
That's how I got into Lion King. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't a dream of mine to be on a musical theater stage ever.
Right.
I hadn't even seen a musical theater show in my life, but it just took one friend of mine to just be like, I see this for you. You should go to the open call in Honolulu. Zero interest. Most of it is fear. You know, I don't want to fail. I don't want to embarrass myself. And she's like, okay, if you go, I'll take you out to lunch. I was like, okay, now we're talking. Yeah, like free food, shoot.
Free food.
Yeah. And plus, I worked on it, and I just wanted to do something a little bit different, as long as nobody knew about it. So I told her, like, please promise me you won't tell anyone, then I'll go. Then we'll go eat, and that'll be the end of it. I'll go back to PCC, I'm gonna dance and love my life. Went to that audition, and that was the beginning of changing my life, because I did something that I've never done before, you know? And I didn't know that's what they were, panic attacks. Every step that I was walking into this room, I was like losing my vision, my knees were shaking. I was like, no, just one step in front of the other, just get in there and just do it and get it over with and leave. And I had to break it up literally one step at a time, get in there and then leave. It wasn't up to me to decide whether or not to get the job. Like, I actually didn't even think about getting the job. When they took us to finally watch the show and the final callbacks, I watched the show and I was like, man, I don't know what I would do in the show. Like, push the rock, I'd be grass. Like, I didn't see anything that I could do. But
yet you're Mufasa right now.
Look at it, yeah. And that's kind of the message that, like, as I say it, I need to also remind myself of it, is to make mistakes. Make mistakes, man. My whole life I've been terrified of making mistakes, and I think a lot of us culturally are like that as well, or not culturally. We're so scared to make a fool of ourselves. We're scared to disobey. We're scared to do things that are not expected of us. So we just want to, like, stay on this path. And I wish I made more mistakes earlier in my life, you know, because you learn from them.
Yes, sir.
You know, and if you never make them, like, you never know what could happen next, you know?
That's right.
And hopefully now I'm going to start making mistakes as I'm creating this vision for myself. You know, when we talk about having a vision, that doesn't mean your vision can't change. Make a vision, pursue it, and if you figure out it's not for me, make a new vision. It's okay. Like, you don't have to just stick to one thing and then just bulldoze your way until you get there. It's okay to, like, maneuver around and make something new. And yeah, life is so short, man.
Yes, sir. Give us some insight to the challenges of your current role, being on a major production in Hollywood of all places, and then such a figure. I mean, you say Lion King in any language, in any continent, like, people are gonna have an idea of, like Hakuna Matata, you know what I mean, right? So talk about some of the challenges that you could share with us and how you overcome them within your daily job.
Man, you know, when I first came in, I was watching, there was a Mufasa who was on tour, and his name is L. Steven Taylor. He's now, like, the face of Broadway. He's Mufasa in New York City. Yeah. And I would watch him every single night, and every step he took, every, like, breath, everywhere he turned his head, I, like, took notes, went home, practice. I went to my first rehearsal, and I did exactly what he was doing. The director was like, cut, what are you doing? I was like, I'm doing what L. Steven. He's like, we have L. Steven. We want to see what you can bring. We want you. You know? I was like, I don't know, like, tell me what to bring. He's like, no, we need to figure this out. What can you bring? And he allowed me, he said, okay, I heard that you're a dancer. Let's see some of your dance moves. So I did a little whakaupaki for him, a little laka for him.
I knew Mufasa was Polynesian.
Yes. You know? And he allowed me to take pieces of my culture and incorporate that into who Mufasa is. So I'm not trying to be James Earl Jones, although he laid the foundation for it. I'm pulling on my grandma and my grandpa and the father I wish I could be one day, or the father that I wish I had at certain points in my life. And that's what I'm using to like create this character on stage. The pressure comes with when I left Hawaii, there were some older women who pulled me aside and they said, remember when you go, you might be the only Samoan, the only Polynesian, the only person from Hawaii that they meet. What is gonna be their lasting impression of you? Yo.
No pressure.
I just wanted to come out and party. When I saw the contract, I was like, ooh, and I don't have my sisters like to keep an eye on me. I'm gonna party.
Yeah.
Then those ladies told me that. I was like, oh gosh, like, okay, I have a responsibility to represent us. Since there's so few of us, like I don't want that door to close because of me acting like a fool, you know? So I feel like I'm trying my best to be the best version of who we are and who our culture, what our culture is. And that's the biggest pressure. It's tiring, but it's very fulfilling and welcome.
Yeah.
It definitely, literally keeps me grounded on stage.
So how does it feel being, I mean, we're gonna put it on you right here. It's like being a trailblazer in Broadway for the Polynesian people, right? With everything you said, this might make you, you know, when you first signed your contract, be like, man, that's a lot, you know. But now, because I could tell you're fully aware, you know who you are. We have our struggles. You said it. We have our struggles every day. All of us do.
Yeah.
Even the ultra confident, like a dude like me, right? Some days I'm like, man, why am I going to Hollywood to have a Hollywood ratio? Like, why am I going to speak in front of the United States Secret Service? What are they going to learn from me? What am I going to teach Dunkin' Donuts? I never owned a Dunkin' Donuts anywhere. What am I going to tell them, right? So in that, what would be your response to that? A trailblazer.
I can't think of it like that, to be honest, man. Yeah, otherwise, kind of like the audition, it becomes too overwhelming. And then culturally, it doesn't, there's a conflict within me when I start thinking too much about myself. I just want to shut down, you know? When I first came on the road, I would get interview offers and I always turned them down. And my sister asked me, like, why you keep turning them down? I was like, oh, I don't want people to think that I think I'm somebody.
Yeah.
And she said, okay, now think of it this way. You're not representing yourself. You know, you're representing grandma or mom or me or your nephews and nieces. Like, that's what you're doing. So when I remember, and Mufasa has this line in the show, it's his song that he sings and he says, they live in you. You know, and so everything that I've done on the road, I think it's not me. You know, you're a vessel. The looks that I have, the voice that I have, that my height, my acting ability, all this came from generations before me. I inherited all of the genetics. It's not mine. And that's very, it gives me a sense of confidence when I can remind myself of that. It's like, no, it's not you. When people compliment you about your performance, I used to always say, oh, no, it was terrible. I would list all the ways why that performance that night was horrible.
Yeah.
And then I realized, no, they're complimenting my grandma or my grandpa. When I'm in conflicts at work or in the city, like I used to just shy away from conflict. I said, no, my grandma would never let me be treated that way. So I have to remind myself, they literally live in me biologically, physically, they're in me. That's who you are. That's who we're representing. And that's what's kept me moving forward. Yeah.
Man, I have been blessed by this opportunity. Do you work in the personal development space? I might have some room for you to be. We're gonna work for you. You go coach the people. I will follow.
If the check clears, I'm there.
Hey!
Is there free food? Hey!
There's some people like, hey, will you come speak to Dunkin' Donuts in Las Vegas this summer? I was like, the check clears. Tucker brother gonna be there. Yeah. So thank you so much for coming on the show. I'm gonna give you a couple hot seat questions real quick, and we'll be out. So thank you everybody for tuning in. We have the featured man for The Lion King here, and he plays Mufasa. And here's a question. Let's start with a Laia question. When I roll into the North Shore off of Likelike Highway, coming up from Honolulu, where do I stop to eat?
Oh man, good question. You know, the best food is at home, man. So you gotta go to my cousin's house.
I'm coming. Yeah. What's your cousin's name? Hey, cousin, we coming. Martha and the kids are coming. So good food, good grinds there. What about when I say this Coach V quote from my book, Life Champion? Life is struggle, struggle is life, misery is optional. Okay. What would be your thoughts on that?
I agree 100%, man. Because I think there is no life without struggle.
Yeah,
None
real
at
talk.
all. And we just experienced this yesterday. Whilst we were at work, and we've been having these almost 12-hour days between rehearsals and the shows at night. And there's a lot of people at work who I think are choosing to be miserable.
Real talk.
I love you guys, but we have choices either to join in, which is very easy. That's the first.
Misery loves company.
Yeah.
Misery loves company.
And we can trauma bond and complain. But,
trauma bond. I love that. I love that.
But reminding myself, like, okay, who do I represent? Who am I? Okay, try to be positive. You know what I mean? Sometimes that means I have to go eat first. Anytime that I start getting negative, my sister always asks, "Did you eat?"
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. So at work, I hear people complain. I'm like, okay, do I have snacks? Like, you guys hungry? You guys need some food? And trying to change the narrative or like shed a little light, because it's not easy. You know what I mean? Like life is hard, but we can choose to not be miserable.
That's right. and as I tell my clients as we close off here, I've never seen anything positive come from subscribing to negativity, whining, complaining, blaming, or subscribing to my own self-doubt. Have you?
No.
Yeah, exactly.
No.
Man, thanks for coming on the show. Do a couple shout-outs. Who would you shout out here on the Coach V Show?
Man, I really want to shout out my mom, man. Yeah, Fafia. Yeah, she's like, I'm a mama's boy. Yeah, so what?
Yeah, me too, baby. Yeah.
And my older sister Rose,
shout out Rose.
And her kids, man. They're gonna be here on Sunday. I'm gonna get a chance to be with them. And then my younger sister Leilani, she just got married.
Congrats, Leilani. Awesome. That's it.
Well, and to all my other single people out there, single.
My man. Hey, so thank you for everybody that tuning in here on the Coach V Show. I want to shout out my man Gerald, man, for coming out with my lay. Had to put it on. We're here on Hollywood Boulevard on the Walk of Fame. He performs right down the street, and that's amazing that we got a Polynesian crew here from this Asian American, Native Hawaiian, Pacific Island people movement. It ain't even a movement. He started it way back. Other people have started it. We're just riding that wave. And for Gerald and I and the Island City Media Group team, it's just not for the sake of just success that you tune into a show like this, but for the sake that you be your best. In doing so, you realize the best of your abilities and that everything and anything that you dream, work, and pray for can be achieved. This is how your boy Gerald, your boy Coach V, this is how we live. All about faith and family. Grateful for God's amazing grace. We'll see you next Mana Motivation Monday from your boy Mufasa, Gerald the Lion King, and your boy Coach V. One love, mad respects, live it. Choo!
Remember who you are. Yeah.
Man, that was fire, bro.